So guys, just to give you an idea of what I've done here, when you're doing something like this, it's nice to have a bench to work on, and most of my benches are covered in junk and I've got no room to do anything. I did have a nice little cart. I could have used it for a bench, but I already used that for a desktop and I didn't want to have to clean it off. So I decided that I would find another way to create a bench, and I found that this big drawer on my toolbox here is very effective. I could pull that drawer out. As you can see, that's the drawer on the toolbox. All I do is pull that out and I use that. It's big enough to hold 3 2x4s, and it's strong enough to hold the weight. They're not that heavy. And what I've done is I've actually lined these 2x4s up and marked them at 8'6". That's going to be the length of the bench. I'm sorry, not 8'6", 6'8". And I've cut 3 of them to length. I've got one on the floor down there, it's already cut. These 2 didn't have room for 4, so I threw one of the cut ones down there and put this one up here that I've got to cut to match. Once I've cut this off, I'll have all my my 2 headers and my 2 footers. The only thing is the footer on the bottom front, well, of course at the bottom, yes, it's a footer, but the footer towards the front is a little different. It's not going to be one solid piece going across 6'8", because I've got to have a space in there cut for my chair to be able to roll in under, me be able to pull up with my chair, put my feet in under without having to step over a 2x4. And I've also got to make sure that when I measure that length, that I get it properly set so that on the left or the right, whichever side I decide to put the drawers on, that has to be the right width for the drawers. So what that means is it has to be the width of the drawer plus the sliders. Actually, I could measure the inside of the cabinet with the sliders still in there. I measure from the inside of one slider to the inside of the other slider, and that tells me roughly how... Actually, I have to measure from where the slider hooks onto the toolbox on both sides, and that'll give me the exact width that I need for the space on the cabinet in order to put the sliders in and put the drawers in. So if I figure that out and I measure in from each side, right side and left side, width of a 2x4 on each side, plus the width that I get between the 2 sliders, that'll show me how wide the piece has to be on each side of the footer at the bottom. The footer at the bottom will have a chunk cut out. The 2 side pieces will be the length of those two combination of those 2 lengths put together that I just mentioned, if that makes sense. I know I kind of went around about way to explain that, but I do have a way to measure how wide the footer has to be in the front on each side. So first off, I'm going to cut it to length. I'm going to cut it the same as the rest. I'm going to cut it 6'8". Then I'm going to go make those other measurements and cut it to those measurements so that it's going to be the right size for the drawers and the right size for the opening in front of the desk. Until I have that calculated and ready to roll, we'll pause.